Hello and welcome to that podcast. I have Kunal Kamra with me at That Comedy Club. Hi Kunal, welcome to That Comedy Club.
Yeah, man, I'm
How
feeling
are you?
really welcome. I'm great. I did the open mic yesterday, which you of course know about, but the people watching don't. Because they were not here.
Yes.
Like we had a low turnout yesterday, but it was a great show. Like one of the best open mics I've done in a really long time. Open mics usually I'm very rusty because I go very underprepared. But I just saw the dedication of people just sitting there. So I went outside and wrote a few jokes. I said, okay, at least I'll put a few jokes.
I would rate open mic performances of
The comedians.
comedians better
Yeah.
than the actual shows.
Set.
Because
Actual show has a little bit of pretense on the comedian side. Like he doesn't want to give them a bad night.
uh,
So he experiments lesser. He does this other thing which is called respecting the audience. So the moment you respect the audience, you lose out on honesty because whoever you respect, you can't be totally honest with. Like I respect my father. Can I be totally honest with him? No.
No.
And honesty, I think, connects in comedy.
yes.
So to be totally honest, you have to drop the respect, which happens on an open mic day because there are lesser people, they've paid lesser.
Yes.
Generally, these are people who had no other plans.
And they also don't know who's performing.
Who's performing?
So no respect
Yeah,
from
so
that
no
side
respect
either.
from that side either. Like, and after they go back, they are basically, when I see open mics and a lot of people there, I think they are there to avoid traffic. And
Yeah.
sometimes they think it would be better if they were stuck in traffic. Like some open mics I've done, I've been pathetic at. But yesterday was not that day.
Yeah.
Also, you guys do it really well. Like you guys take it very seriously. You are doing an open mic, or even if you are doing a show in a bar, if you've taken the show up, some people are there for the show, some people are there just generally for the bar, and it's a mix of people. And it's just people order, shit happens, ice crushing, some guys fighting because the pasta is not pesto or whatever. It's one of the situations I've been in. But after the you're just like, I think this has no solution.
But
Like honestly, I have accepted this has no solution. And now that when I see organizers like you trying to solve it, I'm just overwhelmed. If you all don't solve, I'm just overwhelmed with the attempt because I had made peace with it. I was like, there'll be ice crushing, there'll be some old man saying, this is not pesto, I've eaten pesto, this is not pesto. Like those sort of, I'm very ready for it.
that's nice.
It's like sleeping with traffic. No, now it's fine. It's a part of my life now.
Which was your first stage? When did you step foot on stage
that's
first?
actually. So it was 25th November 2013. It was an open mic at Canvas Laugh Club. And I remember 2 weeks before that, there's a comedian who stays in my building, Siddharth Dudeja. He came to my house with a Word document of jokes and some funny jokes, some okay jokes. And I was just sitting with him and we were just cracking a few jokes. And I remember I told him that, dude, like most guys carry a condom in their wallet. You know what I would carry? Like oregano and chili flakes. And he laughed and he was like, dude, this is a damn funny joke. And I was like, yeah, you should do it. You're like, he's 19. So I was like, it really goes with you. You're round, you're fat. And he's like, but this is your joke. Why don't you come and do it at an open mic?
Oh, nice.
And then I was like, fuck, what is that? And he was like, see, there's an open mic that happens. And I was aware of comedy shows. Like I was a fan of watching comedy, but I didn't know the system. And he explained the system to me. There's this East India comedy, there's All India Bakchods, then there's this open mic, then you get a and I was like, fuck, I should try an open mic.
Yes.
Let's see how that goes. So I registered that time only for Canvas on the 25th. And I went to Canvas on the open mic. And I wrote some jokes and I went and I did my jokes. And I after I got off, it went surprisingly well for a first time open mic. So I was like, wow, it's not bad at all. People are laughing and shit. And Veer happened to be there in the audience.
Oh.
Veer Das had just come to Canvas. And that time he saw me and he was like, this guy's damn funny. You should call him to Weird Ass to see what he does right and all. So I met them. It couldn't be worked out because I still had my day job in advertising, which I still, after 3.5 years of doing stand-up, I still have that job. So but I met them and it was just very encouraging that after an open mic, everybody was just like, Neville Shah was hosting it. He was like, you should do it, man. Just do it. I mean, you're funny. Just write some jokes and just go up and it'll be, it's fine. It'll be great.
So now, since then, you've been balancing your corporate life and your stand-up.
See, to my advantage, it's not really corporate life because I work in an ad film production house. So it's as chill. And I've been working there. This is my 11th year working with them. So they have identified my negatives and stopped fixing them because they're like, okay, let's just, now it's too much of time has passed for us to keep cribbing about what are the negatives. Let's just focus on the positive. So it's a thing where they're very accommodating. The bosses are nice. They're accommodating. I try my best to go to office 5 days a week, but if I can't, and sometimes it's 4, because with comedy comes a lot of writing responsibilities also.
Yes.
Like you have to collaborate with people and you have to write with them. And if somebody calls you over, you just have to show up because it's just general protocol of it's not a paid assignment, it's nothing, but it's just you're hanging out with another comedian where he's trying to make a sketch or something and you're just helping him out, and every time to time you should do those things. So that happens. So sometimes I can't make it to office, but they're more or less chill. So it's been going well. Like I'm not in a position where I have to choose one over the other, so it's not like hectic for now.
But what do you suggest, corporate life or corporate shows?
See, I do the least amount of corporate shows. Like, nobody books me for anything which is outside a comedy club. And once you see my set and general, like, giving a shit about things, you'll understand why I'm not booked in that setting. And it's very right. Like, I wouldn't book me for, like...
corporate show with...
Yeah, with anyone. Like, with just people. Because corporate shows... Again, you have to operate at a very low honesty level when you do stand-up at a corporate show. Like, you have to go to that water cooler. The Xerox machine doesn't work. How many times does that happen in a month? Like, you have to be that guy. I understand, but I've just never been able to pull it off. Like,
I know.
I've gone and I've bombed every corporate show. And I've felt so bad sometimes that the client is... See, basically what happens is this one dude really likes you. Really likes your comedy. So he convinces the entire office that this guy will be great. Why he likes your comedy is because he saw you at a comedy club where there's a person like you taking care of the environment, making sure things are right. People have come for comedy, they paid for a ticket. It's a different scene. There you'll go and you'll destroy. But you can't replicate this in Cisco's office. You know what I mean? Like they put one stage and there are cubicles and people are like, that's going to be a bad show. Like whatever I do, it's going to be pathetic. And then I've been in situations many times where I've not taken the money after the corporate show. I've just been like, listen, I was supposed to do 30. I believe I have 75 minutes of material, which I can do at clubs. I was supposed to do 30 at a corporate. I bailed at 7. And according to me, I did all the 75 minutes I had. So, bad night.
So, basically turned into an open mic.
Yeah, basically, it was just me in a very awkward situation, which I can talk about in a podcast. That's the only thing I got from that. So I didn't take the money. They were like, here's your check, whatever. Sorry, people are not listening. The bar was open. And I was just like, you know what? For 7 minutes and this check business, I think it's cool. Just let it be.
Any bizarre experience like
that? Dude, I have more bizarre experiences than nice experiences. Like I've realized in my comedy life. I remember one Delhi show. So I have this set about how the government uses the army as a discount card at every situation. They are stuck where they don't have answers. They just go to like, but our army is dedicated and I'm just like, that's just a cop out. You got to give me the answer of the question I'm asking. So that's the whole set devised. I was doing this set on the day surgical strike happened because I'm an unaware asshole. So I didn't read the newspapers. I didn't do anything and this and that. And I was doing that set on the day surgical strikes happened. People are laughing for surprisingly. It's going very well. But this one guy just like, hey, I work for the armed forces. Not today, Today you should respect the country and we did something. I'm like, fuck, what is he talking about? And then I realized, oof, something must have happened, like surgical strike type of thing today. And I'm just looking at him, I'm like, you work for the armed forces and something happened today, you're saying, what? Then why are you not there? Why are you here getting drunk? And then I got the crowd back on my side. But if I would have lost a comeback there, that's it. From there, my set was downhill.
Basically, when you started, you would have been writing and doing open mics, mics. But now, since you're doing regular club shows and you've been going in and out, now how do you plan your writing material? What is the process behind you writing material and how do you plan it?
See, I actually... The problem is that I don't really plan to write material. Like the process of writing an observation and then writing an analogy and then writing a punchline, and it just gets me into a monotonous zone. Like when I write like that, I can't do it more often. I just feel like it's like, if the bowler knows what he's going to bowl, the batsman will figure out what he's going to bowl. Like you have to go that unprepared so that they have no fucking idea of what you're going to do, because you have no bloody idea of what you're going to do. And that's how I look at open mics. Like I just go from the top of the head of that week and how it's been. Like if I'm having some conflicts, then I go and talk about them. Like last open mic I did was, I was trying to date this girl. Now our biggest conflict was that she's a year older. And a year, not 3 years, not 5 years, and a year. So every milestone she hits, like when she's turning 30, I'll be turning 29. When she's turning 40, I'll be turning 39. Like if we're together for so long. and that she saw as a really big problem. So I thought it's really funny for me to go and talk about because it's like a very dharma film conflict. Like this is not an actual problem if you analyze it. So I just went and I spoke about it. Then this week something else will happen. I'll just go and speak about it. See where the jokes are. Something really funny turns up while speaking about it. I'll say, okay, I'll fit this one in my set, maybe. But I don't look at it like I've written this observation, I've written this analogy. It's the punchline. This is current. This is topical. Let's go with it. That's just as a process. It's so unorganic now. You can't do it a year long.
Yes.
Like if you come up with a joke organically, organically, like it just happens to you, then you can do it far more times. Like I can do some jokes which I've written in the first like 3 months of me doing stand up because they happen to me. So I'm like, I can. It's just about painting that picture again for these guys because you're so sure about this because it happened to you. Like I don't know, but everybody has their own process. Like Vipul, dude, like he's one of the best setup punchline writers in the country right now. Like I'm telling you, the observations he has are so rich. I can't, like there's no competing to the way Vipul gets into observations and things. Like that's a skill that he owns. I just, as a process, if I write a decent observation also, it's never as good as a pure observational comedian. Like as a Vipul or Amit Tandon. So then you're only like the observation is not connecting with 100% of the crowd. Like their observation connects with 100% of the crowd. 95 to 100, I would say. My observation connects with 50. That's not my forte. Plus, it's something that's not organically coming to me. So I don't think I can proceed doing that set for a really long time. So I just stopped writing in this format.
Are you building a special next?
I have to build a special now.
Yeah.
So, but the special thing is, I want to call it something like I'm just kidding because that's basically what I'm doing. Like people just take me too seriously. Like they think I'm very intelligent, but I'm not. Like I don't know why. I'm having a reverse problem because I'm not very intelligent. I'm just very dull and like not.
You're a great writer.
I just find the absurdness of things too absurd. Like for me, it's too absurd. Like recently I started talking about education where I'm like, when I was younger, I really thought education is not needed to make money because I saw a Vada Pav wala buy an Audi Q7. And now that I'm older, I look at the same decision and I'm like, fuck, education is so much needed to know how to spend money. Right? Because the poor is just trying to impress the rich. Yes. But they can just do that by speaking good English. He doesn't have to buy an Audi Q7. But he doesn't know that because perspective is missing. Yes. Correct education gives you perspective. So I'm going into these zones of just telling people a story with... So I like telling a story which has a larger umbrella. Like it's not about the story, but it's about something which is slightly bigger and people who catch it, people who don't catch it, don't catch it. Those are the things I like writing about. Like I think it's fun to get into that. But it's a conversation between two people, but it means much more than this conversation. Like...
I have to address this. You've lost 50 kgs since the first time I saw you perform here.
Yeah. It was with Biswa, me and Biswa.
Yes, and you said, I am going on a diet now.
Yeah.
Cut to now 50 kgs. So you lost one Kunal Kamra.
Yeah. So funnily enough, I was not condescending to you when I said that. Before I met you, I was with Neville Shah at High Spirits and I was drunk. And I was talking about, I want to lose weight, I'm going to lose weight. And Neville Shah was like, you are drunk right now, eating a burger, you will never lose weight. And I was like, you know what, I'll lose 50 kgs.
And you thought that now, then or you had planned?
Like I'd planned it. Like I was like,
planning.
Like not planning it, but I was just like...
Making up your mind.
I'm making up my mind because I'm like, fuck, this is the... See, your body is the only thing that's yours. Undisputed. No sister will come with a paper, it's in some will. There's no EMI going for this. Nobody can stake claim it. HDFC can't like take it. Like, this is the only thing that's yours. How can I be so shitty at maintaining it?
Yes.
That just like, fuck. Like you have to be as when I was 143 kgs, I had made peace with so much in life, right? Like, okay, I'll never be able to bungee jump. Who wants to bungee jump? I'll never be able to like skydive. Who wants to? I won't fit in a go-karting car. Who wants to do go-kart? Then I thought if now I increase weight, it'll just be like, I'll never be able to walk. Like, who wants to? At some place I want to like draw a line and just be like, fucking take charge of one situation. Yeah? What the fuck is this? So now I've decided as a diet pattern, I'm going to cheat every last week of a month and eat and drink whatever I want. And the first 3 weeks of that month, I'm going to be on a diet and I'm going to run 5 kilometers every day. 5 to 6 kilometers every day.
But you're on a keto diet. It's not just any diet.
It's just not just any diet. It's a
how
tough diet.
tough was it?
See, because my relationship with food is so fucked. Like, it is so emotional that I can't explain it to people. Like, how I feel about food now. Have you ever been in that sort of a situation where you can't explain, like, what you think about, that? Because everything that life took away from me, food gave to me. Like, just, dude, I was on a 5-month diet where I followed it and didn't eat anything, but I opened my fridge 3 times a day. Do you understand how much I love food? Like, I made friends eat my favorite things. And I, kaisa lag raha hai, bata? Like, it's very freaky how I'm that like about food.
Very close to food.
I'm very close to it, but honestly, man, I want to take charge. Like, and it's just simple because I went to the dietitian and she did this with me, and she was just it was just so much honesty in that moment. Like when I went to the dietitian, she just basically told me go down, climb up a floor. So I went down, I climbed up a floor, and then she was like, here now, do it with this bag. The bag. Then she said, here, now do it with this bag and this 2 plastic bags. She's like, oh, sure. Then the third time I was just like, what is the point of this? She's like, now what you're carrying now with this bag, plastic bag, whatever. Maybe 8 kgs, 9 kgs. But it's bothering you. It's first time was easier. It's like, yeah. Then she was like, now keep everything, go down and walk up and just imagine if you were 50 kgs lighter. And I was like, yeah, man, it's just, I'm carrying a lot. But people are like, when you lose weight or whatever, you will not be the same guy. Your jokes. See, they try and put these things in your mind because they don't want you to lose weight. Like, they don't. One more half decent looking person is not needed in the world, right? Like, that's where they are. So they're like, bro, see, like I'll tell you where you will be too good looking to play the hero's friend, and you will be too ugly to play the hero. Like, that's where you will be. Nobody will cast me as a hero, but now if I'm not 140 kg, nobody will cast me as the hero's friend also. Like the bubbly guy who just keeps shaking his stomach through the film, like one of those Yash Raj films.
Yeah. So what have you planned going forward?
Like life-wise?
Yeah, life-wise in general. Where comedy is heading. What do you think?
Dude, honestly, nobody knows. Like, I can give you some cock about, like, I think India will be like something like
next
now.
Comedy hub.
Yeah. All of that, nobody knows. That's too nascent a stage. Like, the dumbest thing is, like, in my first year, I thought I knew more about comedy. Now that I've done 3 years, I think I don't know anything. Like, just because all my beliefs or whatever preconceived notions I had about comedy and audiences, and they've just been broken every 3 months. Every 3 months, I've set a rule for myself that I will only say a sentence where it connects with everybody in the audience. This is my rule for now. And I was like, fuck, then suddenly I do something else, it works. Somebody does something totally different, it works. So nobody can identify what works and why it's working with 100% of, like a case study. Like, it's very nascent, a scene,
like a straight formula.
Yeah, there's no formula.
The rate at
Nobody
which...
knows where it's headed. I'll just tell you, logistically, comedy is simpler.
Very simple.
If it's like a corporate show somewhere in like one of these, Goa kind of places, it's 7 people plus excess luggage or 1 person who charges a little bit more.
Yeah.
I'm going to get that 1 person. If he can provide. But for that, comedy has to provide the same level of entertainment, which I think because the Indian cover band music scene is so okay, I think comedy is...
How do you handle your hecklers?
If somebody is heckling now, he is looking bad by just doing it. You know what I mean? So it's very tricky for us to not like make him look even worse. Right? Like, I've just did something on a heckler comeback line, which is some guy heckled and then I just addressed it and then he said nothing. So who was that? What was that? Sorry. Most people who heckle in comedy shows, they don't expect the comedian to stop everything and be like, what were you saying? They just want to look smart for their 3 friends who are sitting. Arey, tu bhi funny hai, tu bhi try kar. Then they'll come to an open mic and bomb and never come back again. Like, that's the usual heckler progression. But I honestly don't mind them, man.
Do you watch a lot of videos? So many comedians have shared this experience. Right. Some people watch a lot of stuff, but some comedians have told that they avoid watching stuff so that it doesn't influence their writing process.
Right.
So what do you
see? I watched a lot of comedians in the first 2 years of my stand-up. Now it's just me watching that many comedians is not happening. Like, I have my top 6, 7 favorites. Whatever they churn out, I'll watch. But I'm not now looking to explore further comedians. I don't know why, but it's wrong. I should probably, but I just don't feel like liking another comedian. I think I like enough and I need to first go through everything that they've done. Even in terms of like Louis C.K., one of my favorite comedians, I don't necessarily just watch a stand-up. I watch the short films he made, the podcasts he recorded, the TV show he's made, the TV show he just right now, Horace and Pete. I was just catching it right now, last night at the hotel. But more than that, I'm not like, but yeah, live, if anybody's coming here, regardless of me seen him, not seen him, how is he, etc., like him, don't like him, I'll go for the show for sure. For sure, no doubt. You need to see funny things. It may not be a stand-up comedian. Like I watched this Marathi film very lately. I was late watching it because it's last year's entry to the Oscars, if I'm not wrong. Code. I don't know if anyone's seen that film. It's the
Nawaz mentioned it on
the
AIB
podcast.
Yes.
AIB podcast, and I saw the AIB podcast after I saw the film. So the film I saw 3 days back. The AIB podcast I saw it last night. Very good podcast. Nawaz was very honest. That film has one scene where there's a 33, 34-year-old lawyer whose client comes in. Parents are sitting. Parents ask, is he your client or is he your friend? Just to not make it awkward, he says, he's my friend only. And they're eating. They're like, आप भी खा लो, मैं भी खा लेता हूँ. फिर निकलते हैं यहाँ से. That guy's eating, this guy's eating. The father starts asking question to the friend. आप क्या करते हो? He's like, मैं M.Com का पढ़ाई कर रहा हूँ. अच्छा, कौन से गांव से हो? He's like, मैं शिवपुरी से हूँ. हाँ, मुझे नहीं पता कहाँ पे हो. That small talk conversation. Mother's eating. Suddenly asks, इसकी कोई girlfriend है क्या? And that guy's just I've met him for the fourth time. How awkward is this? And he keeps his plate and he wears his shoes, shouts at his parents, and he leaves. Now this friend is in conflict whether I should eat.
Finish eating.
So मुझे बस हो गया मुझे नहीं आप उनका सुनो मत वो नीचे रुकेगा आपके लिए and the mother's putting some dal and this and that. While the guy goes out, the mother asks again. पर नहीं है इसका कोई भी girlfriend आपको. So that is inevitably such a funny scene to just like soak in. Like that defines everything that comedy is supposed to do for me.
Taking from that, do you feel if you write and shoot a lot of web series and films, you'll be able to explore more? For example, you mentioned Horace and Pete. Yeah. I felt that maybe CK couldn't have really put the same thing on stage.
Everything can't be stand-up. There's no chance. Yes. The context setting of video, stand-up, like Eddie Izzard is a clear example. Like he's one of the greatest comedians on the planet. The way he sets up, it's like watching a movie. Like he sets it up so well that it's just... But it's 20 years of doing it, man. Like, and then he's gotten there. Like, he wasn't like this on day one. It's 15 years. Movies is just that if you have the idea, the context setting, and if you think there's humor in this, which you're not being able to explain to the audience, it's just easier to make a video.
So, are you working on any web series?
I am working as a writer on 1 or 2 web series, but again, it's just things which are prefixed, and I've been in that scenario just trying to learn from the writers on board on what their process is. It's more, for me, it's more of a learning curve right now, just writing with other people and figuring out how do people write. India, most writing is backwards from the conflict. Like every film has a conflict, right? Which is, इसको ये चाहिए पर ये नहीं मिल रहा. That's a conflict. इसको ये करना है पर ये नहीं हो पा रहा. That's those So people first identify the conflict and then write backwards from it. Right? So this is the conflict. Like, for example, humorously also the show, the conflict is Vipul is great at doing stand-up, but he's not breaking out. Yeah. So now I think, I don't know how they wrote it, but most people write it from how do we solve the conflict and then write backwards the journey back. I think for me, when I look at a story independently and I just want to figure the conflict while writing these characters. It's a time thing now. You have to finish something in 2 weeks. This process might take it to 6. I'm just trying to discover what suits me. So I write a lot of things and I'm just like, it's not working. But it's only a matter of time that I have to reach. See, that's the other thing there. My aim in my first year of comedy was 30-minute stand-up comedy club में जाके kill करना चाहिए. जितना भी comedy का venue है इंडिया में सबको पता होना चाहिए तू कौन है और सब booking के लिए phone करना चाहिए. ये हो गया ना. I'm like, ये हो गया. अभी. Now the conflict is, how do you get more people to see you? How do you get more people? How do you explore every angle of you being funny? Because if you're funny on stage, and if you are even mildly funny on stage, like I'm not one of those comics who will get a laugh every 11 seconds, but I'll have a decent 30-minute set. But if you're funny on stage, there's probably a chance you're funny on radio, there's probably a chance you're funny on video, there's probably a chance you're funny directing a comedy sketch. And all these things have to be explored. It can't be one-dimensional. You have to be an all-rounder. Like, clear example of one of my mentors. Like, both my mentors, actually. Both guys I really look up to for inspiration. One is Varun Grover, one is Anuva Pal. They both have been, like, terrific screenwriters. Like, Anuva wrote Lions of Punjab, which is a comedy film which is great for its time. Kids on Netflix, check it out. You'll laugh a lot. As a film which he wrote while he was working at Reuters. So it's just very inspiring. And Varun wrote Masan and dialogues for a few other. He wrote lyrics for Wasipur, and he's written a lot of kid books. And it's just inspiring to see these guys they're like, okay, we'll write, we'll do different things. Like they explored their creativity in different formats. Like Varun, Masan was a serious film. Throughout, like it's a serious film, but whenever there's an opportunity of a joke, that joke is so crisp and tight that you know it's Varun Grover. Like it's just so to have, and it's just they've taken the effort to explore.
Yes.
What else can they do with their mind, with their skill set? And now I think now it's time for me to kind of get into that and collaborate, write, try and make a web series, fail at it, put videos out on YouTube, see how it goes. I'm just on the verge of doing that.
I think that shows on the stage itself. I've seen it happen this year at Bangalore Comedy, where Varun went on stage. There were 950 people in the open air auditorium, which is...
I was at that show.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he literally owned the stage.
Yeah. See, he puts us back to school. Like we can be going on stage every day of our lives, trying to get 2 open mics in one day, writing material, sitting down. This guy is doing his own thing for 3-4 months, and he just comes with a bunch of new stuff one day, and he just destroys. Like Bangalore Comedy Fest was 4 days after demonetization.
Yes.
And he had a set on demonetization where, dude, people were going mad.
Yes.
Like the set he did about Sonam Gupta Bewafai, like that set itself, just to come up with it. It's like, नहीं मैं बैठा था रूम में और मैं सोचा कुछ लिख लूँ तो मैंने कर लिया. I had the fortune of being in the same room with Varun, so I asked him कितना जल्दी आप कैसा लिखा सर, अभी तो हुआ है demonetization, and he said अभी बैठा था कामरा बैठा था लिख लिया, अब तुम बैठोगे तुम भी लिख लोगे, तुम लोग बैठते ही नहीं हो लिखने. And I was like, that's true. That is true. But yeah, man, like these two guys actually, when I analyze why I like them and why I follow their work so much, is because they are explored their funniness. Like Anubhav and Kunal's podcast is for me one of the funniest podcasts I've seen. Like they are just so funny. And Varun's movies and the lyrics of Wasipur and just the books he writes, the stand-up he does, it's so inspiring in all walks. Like it's just great.
How is the live scene from your perspective? You obviously it's been 2.5 years since you've been started open mics. And how do you think it's changed? At what rate are we growing?
I see. I'll tell you what, it's very weird because the scene is growing. The scene is certainly growing. But it is just that there's a conflict within the scene. The scene is basically now battling with a lot of like choice conflicts. Like there's music you're competing in, there's a movie, you're more expensive than a movie, but a movie has review, this short entity, a lot of conflict right now. People have not adopted to, one day in my week, I'll see a live performance. May not be comedy, but a live performance. People don't think like this. There's no pattern in their thoughts. In other places of the world, which is really developed, and there are, not for like once a comedian breaks to a club, he can just sustain a living from doing live shows. Here it's still tricky. So that's where we are at. Like I think finally, if there are, Anubhav told me this interesting story about going to London and being able to see Andy Zoltzman, who's a comedian from there, do 4 shows a night and make some great amount, not great, but like nice for 4 shows, that amount of money, sustainable income. So he was telling me like, this could be life, man, and that's not a bad life to have. If there's no comedy club, there's no comedy culture, there's no comedy living you can make. If there was no comedy club in India, nobody would be a full-time comedian.
Yes.
That's where people see you, that's how you get booked, that's how you get your set better. Like this is the place where everything happens. A few other people get popular, more people get onto comedy. Like Vipul's show about being a stand-up comedian is really helping the scene. Like I'm in that show abusing Vipul. I don't know if you saw that scene. Where he comes and he bounces a joke and abuses people, and 2 people message me saying, how can you abuse Vipul, sir? He's a bigger comedian than you. You suck. And I told him, bro, fiction. Like I've not written those lines. And then he said, oh, okay. And then I said, by the way, my real opinion of Vipul is the same. So that is also something I should tell you.
This is what comedians are all about.
Yeah.
This is how it works.
Like I love Vipul because he's a London son, as I call him in the show. That's why we're friends.
Nice.
But great chatting with you. Radhika is here. Your next podcast has to